Welcome to our channel. Today we want to speak directly to the silence in your chest. Have you ever felt like you're carrying the air? Have you ever felt like your own life is a room you're just standing in, unable to find the chair? It isn't always a sharp pain or a sudden tragedy that brings us here. Sometimes it is the slow accumulation of dust on the soul. You look around and the world is moving at its usual terrifying velocity, yet you feel anchored to the floor by an invisible gravity. It is the sensation of being physically present, but spiritually evaporated, watching the movie of your life play out on a screen you cannot touch, wondering when the intermission will arrive, so you can finally close your eyes.
When the mind is too full, the eyes tend to latch on to the smallest, most insignificant details, seeking an anchor in the storm. Listen to the low, persistent hum of the refrigerator. It's a sound you usually ignore, but today it sounds like a relentless drone, a mechanical heartbeat filling the silence of the kitchen. You find yourself staring at the chrome handle, tracing the smudge of a fingerprint left days ago. That smudge feels more real than your own thoughts right now. The air in the room feels thick, almost viscous, pressing against your skin. You are not thinking about the future or the past. You are just trapped in this singular, vibrating moment of absolute stillness, where the only thing that exists is that electrical hum.
Shift your gaze to the texture of the blanket thrown over the sofa. You can see the individual fibers, the way they weave over and under one another, creating a chaotic little landscape of thread. It looks impossibly heavy. If you were to reach out and touch it, you imagine it would feel like touching a mountain. Your hand feels miles away from your brain, the signal to move traveling through a thick gel of resistance. You watch a single shadow stretch across the floorboards as the sun moves, a slow-motion sundial marking the passage of time that you aren't really participating in. You are just a witness to the physics of light, existing in the margins of the day.
Walk to the kitchen sink, or perhaps you are already there, leaning against the counter, because standing up straight requires too much structure. Watch a single drop of water gather at the lip of the faucet. It swells, fighting gravity, holding on by surface tension until it becomes too heavy to sustain itself. It falls. Plip. Then the silence returns. You wait for the next one. This cycle is hypnotic. It is easier to focus on the physics of water than to address the noise in your head. That droplet is a universe of simplicity in a world that feels dangerously complex. For a few seconds, you become the water, suspended, waiting for the inevitable fall, existing in the tension before the release.
The sensation of heaviness changes the geography of your home. Simple choices that should be automatic suddenly feel like climbing a cliff face without ropes. You look at the cupboard. You know you should make tea. It is a comforting ritual, something you have done 1,000 times. But today, the decision of which mug to choose paralyzes you. The blue one, the white one. The question echoes in your mind as if it carries life or death consequences. The energy required to lift your arm, open the cabinet, and grasp the ceramic handle feels unavailable. You stand there, staring at the closed door, overwhelmed by the sheer number of micro-actions required to simply exist.
The sensory input of the world has become sharp, jagged edges that scrape against your nerves. The sunlight streaming through the window isn't warm, it's aggressive. It demands you to be awake, to be bright, to be functional. You want to pull the curtains, to create a twilight cocoon where the expectations of the day can't find you. Every sound is amplified. A car passing outside sounds like thunder. The notification ping of a phone in the other room sounds like a breaking glass. Your skin feels too tight for your body, a container that is pressurized and sensitive to the slightest change in temperature or texture. You are raw, exposed, and desperately seeking softness. Then there is the phone. It sits on the table like a dormant bomb. You know there are messages waiting, people asking questions, emails requiring answers, the endless scroll of other people's curated happiness. The thought of unlocking that screen makes your chest tighten. It feels like a portal to a dimension you cannot survive right now. You look at the black mirror of the display and see only demands. Demands to be clever, to be responsive, to be present. You are none of those things. You are a ghost in your own machine, and the digital world feels like a roaring ocean threatening to pull you under if you so much as dip a toe in. Consider the act of getting dressed. The fabric of your clothes feels heavy, like chainmail. Buttons are complex mechanical engineering projects that your fingers fumble with. You look in the mirror and don't quite recognize the face staring back. The eyes look tired, ancient, as if they have seen too much and slept too little, even if you've slept for 12 hours. There is a disassociation, a separation between the person inside the head and the body moving through the room. You are operating on autopilot, but the autopilot is malfunctioning, stuttering, unsure of the flight path. You are dressed, but you are not ready. You are standing, but you are not upright. You find yourself drawn to the window again. You look out at the street, at the trees swaying in the wind, at the neighbors walking dogs. It looks like a diorama, a meticulously constructed scene that has nothing to do with you. There is a sheet of glass between you and the world, cold and hard. You press your forehead against it. The cold feels grounding. It is the only real thing in a world of fuzzy static. You are not suicidal. You do not want to leave this earth. You just want the spinning to stop. You want the noise to mute. You want to step out of the stream of time and sit on the bank for a while.
This is the core of the feeling, the desperate desire for a pause. Not a new life, not a vacation, just a pause. You imagine a giant stop button for the universe. If you could just press it, the birds would freeze in the air, the traffic would halt, the emails would stop arriving, and the sun would hang suspended in the sky. In that silence, finally, you could breathe. It isn't that you want to quit the game. It's that the difficulty setting has been turned up so high that you can't find the controls anymore. You crave a moment where absolutely nothing is expected of you. Not even the act of breathing, though you keep doing it anyway. It feels like everyone else has a manual you were never given. They move with purpose, with energy, with a rhythm that makes sense. You are out of sync, a beat behind the melody, stumbling over your own feet. You watch them laugh, argue, run, and it seems like a different species. You wonder when you lost the ability to glide through the day. Was it gradual? Did it happen overnight? The weight you carry isn't visible in a mirror. No backpack, no shackles, but it bends your spine all the same. You are carrying the accumulated gravity of unexpressed emotions and unprocessed fatigue, and the world keeps asking you why you are walking so slowly. There is a specific fantasy that visits you, a fantasy of a small, white room with no doors and no windows, just a soft bed and silence. No internet, no news, no expectations, just you and the quiet. In this fantasy, you sleep for 100 years, wrapped in blankets that feel like clouds. When you wake up, the weight is gone. It is a fairy tale of rest. But then you blink,
and you are back in your kitchen. The fridge is still humming, the faucet is still dripping, and the fatigue crashes back down on you like a tidal wave. The contrast between the fantasy of peace and the reality of noise is heartbreaking.
So you lie down on the floor, not the bed, the floor. The carpet or the wood feels solid, unyielding. There is something profoundly honest about the floor. It says, you can fall no further. You surrender to gravity completely. You stare at the ceiling, counting the imperfections in the paint. From down here, the perspective changes. The furniture looks like a skyline. You are a small island in the sea of your living room. It is an act of resignation, yes, but also an act of grounding. You are physically connecting with the foundation of your space, asking it to hold you up because your muscles have forgotten how. It's not sadness exactly. Sadness is active. It weeps, it mourns. This is numbness. It is a thick gray fog that dampens every emotion. Joy feels muted, like a radio playing in another room. Anger feels too exhausting to muster. You are wrapped in emotional anesthesia. You poke at your own feelings, trying to provoke a reaction. But there is only a dull thud. You worry that you have broken something inside, that the mechanism for feeling has rusted shut. But this numbness is not a defect. It is a shield. Your mind has deployed the airbags because the impact of the world was becoming too severe.
Let us reframe this. This heaviness you feel, it is not a sign of weakness. It is a measure of capacity. It is a sign that you have been carrying too much for too long without setting it down. You are not a broken vessel. You are a cup that has been poured into until the surface tension broke and the water spilled over. You have been absorbing the shocks of your life, the stress of others, the noise of the world, and you have held it all within the container of your body. The fatigue is the receipt for the emotional labor you have been performing, often without even noticing you were working.
Think of a bridge. A bridge can hold massive weight, but even steel has a load limit. When that limit is reached, the bridge doesn't need to be destroyed. It needs to be closed to traffic. It needs maintenance. It needs the weight removed. You are currently a bridge that is trembling under the load. The traffic of your life, the obligations, the worries, the plans, is still trying to cross, but you are vibrating with the strain. The heaviness is the structure groaning. It is your system's intelligent way of saying, stop, no more. I need to stabilize before I can support anything else.
This is biology, not character flaw. Your nervous system is trapped in a freeze response. It has decided that fighting is useless and fleeing is impossible, so it has chosen to hibernate. It is trying to save you by shutting down the non-essential systems, like ambition, like joy, like social grace, to preserve energy for the core function of survival. You are in winter mode. The trees do not apologize for losing their leaves and standing bare against the gray sky. They know that the dormancy is required for the spring. You are currently the bare tree. The roots are still there. The life is still there. It has just gone underground.
So give yourself permission. Permission to be heavy. Permission to be unproductive. Permission to be the room with the lights off. You do not need to fix this feeling right this second. Fighting the quicksand only makes you sink faster. Instead, try to float. Accept that today, and perhaps tomorrow, your only job is to exist. Your only job is to inhale and exhale. The emails will wait. The world will spin without your assistance. You are allowed to take the armor off, drop it on the floor, and look at the bruises. You are allowed to say, I am full. I cannot take another drop.
Let's try something very small. A micro choice.
Feel your feet on the floor, or your back against the chair. Feel the physical points of contact between you and the world. Gravity is holding you. You don't have to hold yourself. Take a breath. Not a deep yogic breath, just a breath. Notice the air entering, the slight expansion of the ribs, the air leaving. That is a success. You are doing it. You are sustaining life. In this moment, that is enough. You don't need to plan the next hour. You just need to survive this minute, and then the next one. The timeline is not a year. The timeline is a breath. We aren't going to tell you it gets better instantly. We aren't going to promise the sun will come out tomorrow. That would be disrespectful to the weight you are carrying. But we will tell you that there is a quiet dignity in staying, in simply remaining here despite the heaviness. You are the keeper of your own fortress. Even if the halls are dark right now, you are still the keeper. Stay for the next breath. Stay for the possibility of a lighter wind. The pause is not the end. It is just a pause. And we are sitting in the dark with you, waiting for your eyes to adjust.